Everyone, welcome to the show. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 28-year-old Maryland resident Nicholas Rodean was seen in some of the most iconic photos from January 6th. His image was everywhere because he was standing next to the half-dressed, horn-wearing QAnon shaman Jacob Chansley. But what wasn't really known about Rodean was that he was really instrumental in the mob gaining access to the building. He carried a Trump flag with him that day, and he used the flagpole to break two window panes. The prosecutor said that he also had some sort of object that resembled a half of a softball, and he used it to break the windows as well. They also say that Rodean was the 15th person to enter the building, and he was part of that large group that chased Officer Eugene Goodman up the steps and then confronted a line of officers before successfully overrunning them. But prior to moving past the officers, they noticed that Rodean had this spherical object in his hand, and one of the police officers asked him to put it away. Well, Rodean complied, but then he pulled out a hatchet. So then they asked him, please put the hatchet away, and they requested permission to search his bag. So Rodean consented to the search, and he told one of the officers that he was at the Capitol to, quote, stop the steal. And Rodean had something else with him that day that made it far too easy for the police to locate him. He had a lanyard around his neck, and attached to the lanyard was his work badge. It showed his picture, his full name, his employer's name, and apparently Rodean's supervisor happened to see him on the news. So he spoke with Rodean. He confronted him about his actions. This was the day after the attack. And Rodean's response was, quote, it needed to be done. So needless to say, Rodean was fired. And then on January 13th of last year, he was arrested and he was charged under a superseding indictment with destruction of government property exceeding $1,000, entering a restricted building or grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, 2 counts of physical violence, and parading in a Capitol. Rather than accept a plea deal, Rodean opted for a bench trial with Trump-appointed judge Trevor McFadden. McFadden, who also assisted in Trump's transition team prior to his 2017 inauguration, found Rodean guilty on all counts. Based on the most serious charge of destroying government property, Rodean was facing up to 10 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and up to $250,000 in fines. However, the prosecutor asked for only 57 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,048 in restitution. The defense asked for home detention for reasons that were redacted. So this was because it had to do with Rodean's health, which I'll explain in a minute. But at the sentencing hearing, Rodean attempted to address the judge. He tried to apologize for his actions, but reporters who were there said that for almost 15 minutes, he, quote, visibly struggled to complete thoughts and sentences, and, quote, at one point, he clutched his head in frustration. So it was revealed in court that Rodean has Asperger's syndrome, which is a high-functioning form of autism. It's still life-altering, though. And Rodean's attorney explained to the judge that prison would be especially dangerous for someone like him because of his condition. The attorney described how he's very susceptible to being taken advantage of, how his condition can be made worse by loud noises and other forms of stimuli. And he noted that officers don't have the proper training in prison to identify and deal with someone with Asperger's. So, he could end up in isolation for extended periods of time. Well, this is all true. What I found disturbing is that this right-wing defense attorney cited BLM protests in his sentencing memo. He tried to make the case for leniency by pointing to the BLM protests. Now, of course, this same attorney is representing 2 of the alleged coup plotters, John Eastman and Jeffrey Clark. So, yeah, we can take whatever he says with a massive, massive pile of salt. Unfortunately, Rodean's attorney and Judge McFadden are like-minded. They're both Trump bootlickers. So Rodean was sentenced to only 240 days of home detention, 5 years of probation, and the $2,048 in restitution. While I have compassion for Rodean's medical condition, I believe there has to be some sort of alternative other than an extended Netflix and chill. I mean, maybe confinement in a halfway house or something else, but I find it difficult to believe that home detention is the only option we have for people on the spectrum in the year of 2022. And I get to say, okay, he could be taken advantage of. It is dangerous for him. But to point to loud noises and other stimuli when this guy was at the Capitol with how many people? With how much stimuli, with how much noise? I don't know. I find this one very difficult. Anyway, thanks so much for watching and listening, everybody. Take care, and I will talk with you soon.